Thanks for being some of the survivors here. As you can tell, Jason King has gained a lot of weight and a lot of bodies, and he's got some sexual confusion going on. This is going to be a media panel. We're going to have a little bit of discussion about Bitcoin in the media, and there we go. We're going to actually let the people on stage left see everybody. Do you have a seat? Everybody have a seat? Ernie, right here is the chair. Where's my stool? Oh, you got the stool.
I didn't know that was you.
Hey, you know what, Ernie? You're the moderator. Go ahead. So anyway, we're just going to talk about Bitcoin and such, and we're going to burn a little time, and the hackathon people will be out here in a moment. Now, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I don't even know where to start.
Oh, well, for one thing, let's give a hand for Mark Edge, who's been MC today, and he has made this work. Mark, go ahead.
Tiana's done most of that work, frankly. There's such a team back here. All they do is shove me out in front. I say a couple of words. I walk back out. There's nothing worth clapping over. Well, it's the gals back there that are taking care of all the work.
Well, Tiana Lawrence has done a great job. We don't see her, but let's give her a hand anyway. And Ian and Mark Edge, they do the Free Talk Live, and they're radio hosts. They've done a lot of advertising for this conference over the last few months, and they always come down for the Texas Bitcoin Conference this time and last time. That's always, right?
That's right.
Thank you. And they're willing to do anything and everything to make this conference successful, and I just want to say that.
Thank you. It's been great. This has been fantastic this year. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. I really wasn't digging. And now this is Danny, who I call Danny the Roofer, Danny Simmons. And did I get that? Say it right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay, close enough. But he runs a radio show here in town. Anthony, and I'm give up all last names. I forget them. Anthony, he does distributed. Decentral TV.
Decentral.tv and Decentral Talk Live, which is a daily show that we put out.
And what's the point of that?
The point is video content. We decided to come up with a video dashboard. It's actually a customizable dashboard with exchange prices, headline news, but the main focus is on video content. So we carry our show 5 times a week, and we also add Epicenter Bitcoin as well, and there's a few other different shows that we're going to start carrying on our channel. The goal is to have 6 hours of original content per day.
Very good. Now, we'll skip Ian, who we now know is a famous media celebrity. We'll move on to a very new CEO of Cointelegraph. How many people here have read a Cointelegraph article? How about one with me unicycling across Austin? Oh, good! My favorite article so far. Go ahead.
Well, not that new. Almost a year, and right after the publication started. My name is Tony Lane Casserly, TLC. I am the CEO of Cointelegraph, and Cointelegraph is not only Cointelegraph, we are Cointelegraph Media Group. We actually own 8 properties, so I also do a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the media space.
Oh, very good. So you're one of the competitors to David Bailey's media. Yes.
This is how I feel about media, and I think this is where most people get it wrong. And I had someone approach me the other day, and they were kind of like they were doing the what, you want to fight, and I was like, what? And it was someone else who was in the media space, and I was like, no, that's not the way that I see things. One, blue ocean, and 2, if you're gonna compete with someone, I think the person who anyone should be concerned about is Google, who's effectively creating an algorithm for content and news. I think media is totally synergistic, and I think people should be empowered to read who they want to read.
So what you're saying is you don't compete with David Bailey as long as you win.
It wasn't David. No, it wasn't David.
You don't compete against David Bailey as long as you win. I get it.
No,
okay.
It wasn't. It wasn't David at all. But yeah, it's media is a totally synergistic landscape, and I think more, especially in Bitcoin, more people should be focused on working together instead. Just in general, focus on working together instead of trying to tear each other apart. There's just no. I'm a pacifist. I'm a lover, not a fighter. No point in doing that.
And
Hello.
go ahead.
I'm also a lover, not a fighter. John Barrett. I'm the host of Bitcoins and Gravy on the Let's Talk Bitcoin Network with Adam B. Levine, Stephanie Murphy, and Andreas Antonopoulos, everyone's favorite Bitcoin guru. I've been doing this a little over a year. It's a weekly podcast. Make sure to tune in, and you'll know my voice when you hear, now that's gravy. I'm the composer of Ode to Satoshi, the official Bitcoin song. And don't let any other song fool you. That is the official Bitcoin song. Anyway, okay.
Okay. And then the senior, the elder of us all, Ernest Hancock.
Elder. You know, I remember when I was the kid, been doing this 25 years or more, and I always saw that there was a need for freedom-oriented media, and the bad guys sure as heck weren't going to do it. As time went on, we started to see that the empowerment of the individual kept increasing with, first, I remember fax trees, you know, then we get the email, then web pages, then we have our own radio programs, we started doing our own magazines and newspapers and so on, to the point that as the other traditional media, the old media, the lamestream media, the media so last century, as their audience continues to slip, they go, well, who's the one that replaces it? Well, there isn't one. It's a distributed, decentralized, just like everything in the future is going to take over the statism, is what you see up here.
Okay, so you have no disagreement in how any of these people are doing their media.
No, I just do it better. You know, and that's one thing, and it's always better in your opinion. You know, each one of us has our own mark and our own style, but there is no central plan for freedom. That's the point.
Okay, I shortchanged Mark and Ian. You guys, you get to speak for yourself.
Great. I think that Ernest Hancock is the most talented Liberty talk show host in the world. His crappy business model.
Where's he sleeping tonight? I was wondering.
We're actually not going to be sleeping tonight. Our plane leaves at 5 a.m. But Ernie, by the way, for those that don't know, I am not just the host of Free Talk Live, I also program a little internet channel called LRN.FM, which features Ernie's show, Declare Your Independence. This guy gets up at 6 o'clock Pacific time. Well, gets up probably like 4. What time do you get up?
My wife gets up at 4. I get up 5 minutes before the show.
Okay, well,
6.
Not as committed as I thought, but nonetheless, he gets up by 6 a.m. to go on the air 4 days a week at least, sometimes 5 days a week, pretty much every single weekday. And this guy goes hard 3 hours every single day. And for anybody who hasn't heard the show, he will wake you up. I mean, just he's at the top of his lungs, declare your independence, and he just has a good time with it, and
From the BEA
it's a pleasure.
beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com every day.
Okay. All right, now we're going to go through here and we're going to find out what makes your media distinctive. What you only get a phrase or two. What makes it distinctive?
Can we go ahead and declare we're the only FM Bitcoin show? No.
Yeah, sure. Why not? You can
It's
declare
probably
that.
not true, but we'll declare it anyway.
Okay. The only FM radio show. I didn't say anything about myself. I just do a Texas Bitcoin conference, you know, a little thing like that. That's all I do.
I think perhaps that Decentral TV is the only show that's focused just on decentralized technologies. It's not just about Bitcoin, it's about blockchain technology and everything to do with decentralized and disruptive technologies.
Okay.
Well, we've got 150 radio stations, and about 26% of them are FM talk stations. Plus,
You're
we
not
have
a
pirate radio.
Bitcoin
But
show,
you're not
though.
a Bitcoin show.
Not a Bitcoin
That's true.
show.
But we do talk about Bitcoin, and we've got commercials that run constantly promoting Bitcoin, also on LRN, which, by the way, we're talking about getting the crypto show on LRN. So I'd like to collect as many liberty-oriented shows. It's kind of what you were talking about.
Okay. What's your distinctive call to fame?
Claim to fame.
That's the
So,
word.
Cointelegraph.com actually takes the comic book section of the newspaper in the front page. So every piece on our site is actually hand-drawn. We don't have an algorithm. There are actually real people that are drawing a cartoon for every single piece that our writers write. I would say the other thing that makes us particularly unique is our internal structure. We have a holacracy, and
No, I'm just
Yeah.
preparing.
Internal structure, we have a holacracy, and externally, we're focused on having hyper-local news. So we currently have publications, Cointelegraph.com, and then we have Slovenia, Finland, Italy, Spain, the United Kingdom, South Africa, and we are planning a very big expansion by the end of this year. So I would say that's something else that makes us particularly unique. We focus on Bitcoin, blockchain, decentralized web, and privacy applications like Tor and hacks, things like this.
Well, that was at least one thing that makes you unique. Okay.
Yeah, what makes my show unique is I'm actually the only cartoon character that does podcasting. Watch this. Just kidding. Hey, no, I talk with people from all over the world, and I try to make it really conversational and fun, and I throw in my original music and the original music from other people. I've got some pretty funny stuff coming up, so keep listening, definitely.
Free Talk Live was introduced to Bitcoin by Gavin Andreessen, the head developer. And on the first evening, when we talked to him, Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus, heard about Bitcoins on the show. And a lot of people you'll find wandering around here heard about Bitcoins on Free Talk Live. So if Roger Ver is Bitcoin Jesus, then we're Bitcoin John the Baptist.
Okay. Ernie?
You know, the difference, I guess, mine is just experience. I've been in the Liberty space for a long time. And it's just that experience coming in, oh, I've seen this before. That's why they call it revolution. It just keeps coming around. So I give a perspective that way. All right, well, let me tell you where this has happened before. I'm on several networks and do a lot, but my favorite I'll always be on is LRN. Because Ian and Mark, what they have created is what was so needed in the space. And the reason that I work so hard is because I want to make sure that there's content provided these opportunities. People will build a network, they do the work. Ian, not only does he do his show, is take 7 days a week. Are you freaking kidding me? So the reason I have 5 days a week, I do a rerun on Monday because that's grandkid day. Get over it, okay? So we do a rerun to play with the grandkids. But my wife and I both worked so hard for so long waiting for this opportunity. When LRN came on, the ability to have this, I've been on Terran Radio, morning drive, afternoon in Phoenix and so on, but I understood what it meant to have content that could be accessible to anywhere, at any time and live. So it's my job, I think, to try and just provide content that's exciting and fun and informative so that all the other shows that come on the network have an anchor. There's something there for them to tune into. And of course, Free Talk Live, the afternoon anchor. So I just try and do my best to serve the community.
Well, Danny's requested to change his
Yeah, I
answer.
needed to change my answer, I guess, on that. Our original motto was, we are the worst show on air. That way we didn't raise any expectations.
Here, let me have that. Okay, guys, if you've got a question, come up here in the front, and I'm going to give you the mic. But while you're coming up, please don't push, don't shove, please, guys. Okay, as you come up for your questions, they're going to explain why there's only one woman up here. Okay, go ahead.
There's
you got
one?
mics. There is one.
Oh,
There's
my goodness.
right there.
I want to know why
20 years ago, there was none.
I don't distinguish between genders in that way. I mean, why are there not that many women in the hack room? I would assume that's the thing that women are thinking about. Then what am I supposed to do? Grab them and pull them up here?
Yeah.
That I'm a woman that's up for debate. So,
Yeah, but why not more women?
Why not more women?
Why,
I mean-
why are there? I can't count. Something like 7 guys up here, sort of.
I think there are a lot of women in media. I think a lot of women are usually anchors. I think a lot of women usually do news and TV. I'd say there are actually more female anchors on news than men.
Yeah, I will point out that there are more women doing media. Like there's you, there's Tina, there's a whole. When I go to a Bitcoin thing, I will run into a lot of women that are in Cointera. I mean Cointera. Excuse me. Cointelegraph. There are a lot of women in the media in the Bitcoin space, but Bitcoin itself doesn't have a lot of women, and we don't happen to have a lot of women media here today. But so maybe this is a non-issue. Come on, does anybody have a question about Bitcoin media?
Can I comment on that real quick?
Is this like something?
I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to comment on the women thing. Have someone remember when we were back, any of those in the Liberty community back in the early 90s, you go to libertarian conferences, conventions, politics, there were no females. I mean, hardly at all, other than those of us that were married. Well, what happened was, as time went on, you go to things like Porcupine Freedom Festival, you start going to more events, all of a sudden there are a lot more women. And then I think the same thing is going to happen in the media. As time goes on, freedom becomes a, everybody thing. And I'm not that concerned about it. I don't really, think it matters other than everybody gets to express themselves. When the time comes, women want to express themselves, and as a community, we're open to that, encouraging of it, support it, so it'll happen.
If I might also comment on that, with Free Talk Live, we've been on the air for over a decade, and we've had a series of female co-hosts on the show. We still have female co-hosts. In fact, Stephanie Murphy, who many might know from Let's Talk Bitcoin, she started on Free Talk Live, and then from there she started Pork Therapy, and then ultimately Let's Talk Bitcoin. And so, yes, it does happen, but I would love to see more of it. There is an argument that talk radio in general is a very male-dominated business. Males are the ones who run the business. They're the general managers at these radio stations. They're the ones who run the syndication arms and things like that. So I'd like to put out the open invitation to any ladies who are hosting a liberty-oriented talk show. If you don't care about freedom, you don't belong on LRN. But if you love liberty, then please reach out to me. I would be happy to look at your show for syndication.
First question.
Have any of you or any other people you know in the media ran into challenges with people trying to push undesirable, selfish, or nefarious agendas through your programs?
What do you mean?
What?
Schemes like recently there was a big issue with Paycoin, for example, and
Well, let me answer. Can I take a stab at that, being somebody in a conference? I can tell you that when you have somebody who comes to you and they say they want to sponsor your conference, first of all, these conferences are very expensive to run. And when Bitcoin's price is sliding sideways, you really, really, really want sponsors. And so that's a problem. But I will tell you at the Texas Bitcoin Conference, we vet every one of those sponsors to the extent that Google can help us, as well as our network of people that we know. I mean, a good friend of mine is David Johnston. He knows a lot of people in this space, so we vet them. Even still, it is incumbent upon you as someone who attends a conference to realize there isn't any possible way we can vet everyone that comes into the conference. And I'm certain that as far as advertisers are concerned, most everyone here will probably say the same thing. You try to vet, but you can't promise guaranteed ironclad that you can't get a scammer in to put some ad in your program. Ernie, you've been around the longest. Have you ever had somebody get advertising on your radio show that later you were like, boy, I really wish I hadn't given them time of day?
When I was on Terran Radio, you didn't pick your advertisers. I mean, when we first started, that's how we got the gig, is we brought in sponsors to do it, but they're always freedom-oriented. But you don't fill the whole thing. So the radio station will have, John McCain for whatever the heck, right? And so I'm going, yay. But so I always separated the show from it. But what we found out is when you're advocating for liberty and like anti-war and all this other stuff, man, there is nobody that wants to advertise. So it is only because of individuals that have a love for freedom and have the resources to do it, that know that without their support, you're not going to be on. That's where the support comes from.
Yeah, but let's make it. How many of you guys really consider yourself a liberty media outlet? Right. And the rest of us consider ourselves maybe a Bitcoin media outlet. And so in my case, I absolutely want the Liberty voice on the stage. But I also absolutely want every other voice on the stage too, because I view my role as providing a place for these people to come in contact. Anthony, you're hardly saying anything. Let's give him the mic.
Can I say something real fast?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I was just going to say, occasionally I'll have people that want to be on the show, and so they'll email me and they'll tell me about their project, the startup or whatever. And I had a guy recently and interviewed him, and it wasn't really until I was 2 hours into editing the next day, editing the interview, that I really realized, wow, this guy was kind of trying to pull one over on me, because what he's talking about as being completely anonymous was not. So I basically had to email him and say that, I'm not interested. I really think he was trying to push his agenda and get it out there and use Bitcoins and Gravy. I've got like 8,000 weekly listeners. Nima, that's a great question, and the other thing I have to say is that with my 8,000 weekly listeners, I've got to give a plug. I'm always looking for sponsors, and to date, I have not had anybody that wants to sponsor the show. I think it's because of the name, Bitcoins and Gravy, and what the hell is that, right? But anyway, it's a great show, so I'll pass the mic.
It's a great name.
So we've interviewed some different companies, and those interviews have never aired because there has been something a little bit smelly about what they were talking about. In terms of advertising, it is up to us to actually do the best that we can in order to ensure that these guys are passing a certain test in order to get to put them on your station. That being said, there is not 100% guarantee that something's not going to happen with them down the road, but you do have to try and do your best with it.
Let's get the next question.
Oh, okay.
They can always, they'll talk about what they want to talk about anyway.
Okay, perfect. Like all of us, I'm a Bitcoin fanatic. I'm always trying to get people who don't know about it more interested in it. So I'm always trying to have a dialogue with everybody. I'm that guy. And you guys are in the media. You guys are constantly having dialogues. Have you figured out is there a certain dialogue that gets more people interested in it than others? Like, is there a certain angle? Is it the liberty angle that gets more people excited? Is it the fiat, loss of purchasing power?
You got to define people and excited, and neocons love some war, man. We got to go kick some towelhead butt kind of thing. You want to get sponsors, you talk about the war and how you want the Republicans to be in, and we're going to vote and the Democrats suck and whatever. You want to get sponsors, that's how you do it. The thing is, you got to make a decision up front what people you want to get excited. So then you had like the Lovolution with Ron Paul and all that kind of, there was no sponsorship for that. That didn't come from big money of whatever, that was from people. So first you got to decide what you want to get excited. Is it your bank account or future of your children? I mean, you have to make those decisions early on.
It's hard to answer the question because it just depends on the venue. So not only do I host Free Talk Live, but I also will appear on other shows. So, if there's something happening in the news, let's say the Silk Road trial, we had Derek J. Freeman, who was down there as one of the activists. And so I put out a release to 700 radio program directors that I built personally, built an opt-in email list, letting them know, hey, we've got this guy, he's a host of our show, he's down there at this trial, do you want to interview him? And so obviously that's a time to talk about Bitcoin, but there's only one context in which you can really discuss it, which is the Silk Road. If I'm being interviewed on some other topic on another show and I can work Bitcoin into the discussion, I'll do that. But whoever it is I'm speaking to, there's an old saying that whenever the student is ready, the master will appear. And so whoever you're talking to, if you're on a general broadcast show, the right people will hear what you're trying to say.
In the Bitcoin space, what gets most people excited is when the price is going up. That gets the most excitement.
Yeah, Danny's going to explain.
I think there was one example last year with Galt's Gulch, and Josh Tully was, advertising for that, and he, there's just one guy that was really the bad actor. So
you can't sit there. Okay, he takes his seat back. I'm sorry.
But he didn't have any intention, and he didn't start out knowing that Galt's Gulch was going to turn into what it was. But when he did find out, he dropped him. So.
Well, guys, go ahead. Your question.
Well, I'll be super direct to you, Paul. I've got a baby podcast, and one of my second episode was this new little company called Factom. I think I was the first in any kind of media to cover them, but you've heard of them, I think. Real quick, Paul, so I've had a recorder recording the entire conference, and I'm often hear media will just release speeches and stuff. I'll just ask you, since we're in a hurry, how do you feel if tomorrow morning I have some conference, some of these talks on my podcast that airs on the Let's Talk Bitcoin Network?
I mean, if you've recorded anything, you can play it. No, that's no problem. Wait, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to try to have more fun, but yeah, I know you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
You believe in intellectual property?
Yeah, we're.
Well, we could have a whole discussion about that. I always wonder about that.
I have a 14-page form that you need to fill out. And,
Okay.
Can you be the one that holds the?
All right.
I was going to use this ugly stand.
Quick question. John, you said 8,000 weekly listeners. Can someone quickly numbers? You guys want to maybe share something like that? He said 8,000 weekly listeners.
Happy to do so.
If anyone, any kind of
Yeah,
numbers?
so just to comment on one of our 8 properties, CoinMarketCap gets, you can see all of our statistics on our site if you go to Cointelegraph.com and Cointelegraph.com/sales, or if you go to our website and click on the advertising section. But to just give you one brief stat, CoinMarketCap gets over like around 50 to 55,000 views a day.
No problem. Free Talk Live is, since it's on 150 radio stations, there's no feedback in the same way that a podcast gets a download. So we have to, there's agreed upon lies that come through Arbitron. So I'll give you some general idea. I would say it's conservative to say that 250,000 people per week hear it, in some form of media. We've had 12 million downloads of our podcast over time.
And I don't know. When I first started doing radio in 2003, I was the only libertarian in a major media market on the freaking radio drive time. How the heck did that happen? Well, when they started getting all excited that, oh, wow, you got 5,000, 10,000 listeners. Oh, my goodness. And I'm going, wow, I had that many MP3 downloads. So once I realized that the internet was way past any local radio station and so on, I really embraced it. And then we have, of course, our webpage. We have a magazine. We have a newspaper. We have a funding center. We have a marketplace. We are creating the infrastructure for when it hockey sticks. Once I realized it was worth doing, I stopped even checking, because that starts to manipulate how you market. When you say, well, what's the message? If I see that I give a certain message, wow, man, if I talk about, caning in Philippines or something and I get 15 kids, then that's all you talk about. So I'm just going, no, I'm going to talk about liberty, and that's just the way it's going to be, and we'll see what happens with the faith that the audience, not only already there, I think we've demonstrated that, is that it's going to get a lot bigger as the youth generation next starts to come in to taking over the institutions that are there now.
So we're a new station, Decentral TV. We do the daily show, and because of the way that we do the show and it's live streamed on Decentral TV, it doesn't actually get correct statistics on YouTube. So we do track per minute of what people are watching. We're getting about 8 to 10,000 minutes watched per day of our show that we're putting out Monday to Friday. And viewership of Decentral TV is somewhere around the 7 to 10,000 mark a month, I think, of page views on Decentral.tv.
We don't really have any numbers on ours because it's technically pirate radio, but it's a legal. It's an ongoing legal battle, and they fight very hard for it, and it's very principled. You'd have to really check with the people that run the network, but it's incredible what they do. They just refuse to pay the FCC, and they choose to fight instead. So it's really, really cool. I consider it more of a valid FM channel than any other FM channel, because they're not paying the man.
Well, my weekly attendance is relatively low, but there's a spike in March. There you go. All right, guys. What I'm trying very desperately to do is get John Barrett set up so that he can play the Ode to Satoshi.
Austin City Limits. I can't believe it. I made it.
Woo!
But I don't have my my cowboy hat or my guitar. We tried to rig a capo, and we couldn't, so I got to play it to, I don't know, what a step and a half lower. This is going to be painful, man. All right. Well, Satoshi Nakamoto, that's the name I love to say. And we don't know much about it, but he came to save the day. When he wrote about the way things are and the way things ought to be, he gave us all a protocol this world had never seen. On Bitcoin, as you're going into the old blockchain. On Bitcoin, I know you're going to rain, till everybody knows, till everybody knows your name. Down the road it will be told about the death of old Mt. Gox, about traders trading altar coins and miners mining blocks. But them good old boys back in Illinois and on down through Tennessee, see, they don't care to be a millionaire, they just wanted to be free. Oh, Bitcoin, as you're going into the old blockchain. Oh, Bitcoin, I know you're going to rain, till everybody knows, till everybody knows your name. Now, this is where the solo usually happens, and I'm actually really glad that I don't have the capo, because I'd be having to sing it really high, and I had a bunch of Guinness last night, and my voice is trash, so I blame the Guinness. From the ghettos of Calcutta to the halls of Parliament, while the bankers count our money out for every government. Oh, Bitcoin flies on through the skies of virtuality, a promise to deliver us from age-old tyranny. Oh, Bitcoin, as you're going into the old blockchain. Oh, Bitcoin, I know you're going to rain, till everybody knows, till everybody knows your name. Till everybody knows, till everybody knows your, give me some exposure. Everybody knows your name, singing, oh Lord, pass me some more. Oh Lord, before I have to go. Oh Lord, pass me some more. Oh Lord, before I have to go. Oh, to Satoshi, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Austin City Limits. I love you. Me and Willie. It's a $3,000 Martin this guy loaned me. I got to get it back to him.
I want to thank Tony Velasco is a stagehand working here at the Moody Theater. He had his wife run the guitar in for us because this man lost his in the trunk of a friend's car who drove away. So he'll get it back. It's not lost forever. But thank you for the song. It is really incredible. We really enjoy it. What's that? Okay. Now, you thought you could get off the, I thought I was timing this, but it turns out there's a little more deliberation. So, gee whiz.
We can vamp.
Give the mic.
Mark wants to sing.
I want to talk about fraud inside the advertising sphere. So in radio, we have I think this is really sort of important, is because what's the responsibility of a media organization to vet with who you're going to do business with? In the radio industry, they sell these pills during the talk radio segments constantly that claim that they're going to grow your penis. Do you believe that because it airs on my show? And if you do, you get what you pay for, a sugar pill. And it doesn't have my voice on it. I wouldn't voice over that ad, but I do think that there's fraud inside the advertising sphere. And then what is an ad venue supposed to do about that? And I don't know specifically, but at some point or another, there's responsibility for the ad venue, there's responsibility for the listener, and there's responsibility for the advertiser. And like everybody sort of needs to attempt to take as much responsibility as they can. I might refuse to sell them on my ad avails, but I know that they're going to buy this in those same avails that are going to be during my show on local stations and network ads, and I can't control it.
No, I'm good. One thing I did want to mention, the support for this alternative media oftentimes has come from the people that provide the content themselves. They're confident enough to do it. And I can't emphasize enough the offer that Ian and Mark have provided you. Ian doing all the work behind LRN, the whole point of that was to give you a voice. But he's selective in who goes on there. You don't have war banging, we got to go kill somebody people. It is, and it's a test bed for a lot of shows, and some last, some don't. But I encourage you to think about the people that you support, because they have advertisements that on there, the 10-second bumper that comes into when we come back from break is like, support your shows. If you like them, support them. Send them some Bitcoin. Dude, they have a satellite. They're doing a fundraising right now that for a long time they've been on, and they're in Africa, and they shut that, or threatening to shut it down. They don't have that, and you go, hey man, I got people from all over the northern hemisphere of the planet. I'm going, wow, how did this happen? Well, I find out it's because of the satellite broadcasting that they have that we restarted our newspaper to emphasize LRN. So by the tax day, April 15th, we're going to be launching the newspaper. When that happens, we're going to start really emphasizing the financial support for the satellite. So you, as individuals, and there's some, one that has nothing else to do with their Bitcoin, demonstrate your support for this message going out with the platforms that are already available.
I would also say, as far as fraud and ads in the media space, I think there's a big difference between fraud and snake oil. And it's like a fake Viagra pill is very different than someone who's deliberately trying to take advantage of you. I would say someone saying like, ooh, there's like this magical medicine cure, and then you're going to become like a new spirit and everything will be cleansed. Like, there's a big difference between someone doing that and someone deliberately saying, like, it is my intention to make you trust me, and then I want to take everything out of your pocket. I want you to think you're going to get this kind of a return. I'm going to make a financial promise to you, and I'm essentially going to create a Ponzi scheme. And I think that's the bigger point that people are trying to make about the Bitcoin industry in particular, like companies like gold miners, for example, and there have been many scams that are exposed. I think there's a big difference between snake oil and a scam. I'd also like to say that it's, to me, really interesting that we're having this conversation about advertising and media. I have some really strong, I know what advertising is. I ran an ad agency, but I have very strong, very, very, very strong reservations about the idea of advertising and the idea of content. The day that my site publishes something that is paid for as a piece of news is the day that I will no longer be in this business.
Well, I mean, of course, the counter argument of that is also whether it's very clearly paid advertisement versus it looks like a article and it's you don't know.
It doesn't even matter if it's clear. The New York Times clearly stated in an article they wrote about why the energy crisis happened, that it was sponsored by Chevron, who caused this crisis. Did they mention anything about the actual cause? No. Did they say it was sponsored by Chevron? Yes. Was it transparent? To an extent, but people trust the New York Times so much that even if you do see that, most people aren't going to think, oh yeah, this was like sponsored by Chevron. That's not going to be the immediate assumption. So I would say for long-term profitability, I don't actually think ads are a sustainable long-term source of value. I think if you want to actually make an effective business and you want to make money doing media, you need to either focus on like an overarching ecosystem play, or you need to focus on what is truly valuable, which is like an information algorithm. That's profitability in modern media.
Does decentralized TV, does it have ads?
Decentral TV. Yes, we do have ads. Decentral TV does have ads. Yeah.
Decentral
And our focus
TV.
is actually being its video content. Our goal is to actually we've got a partnership with BTC Media, so we carry all of their video content, and all their video content goes through us. And the goal is to actually add more sources for their advertisers to get involved in the video space. So we've seen video commercials come out in the Bitcoin space. We've seen the BitPay commercials for the bowl that they had last year. And that's what we want to position ourselves to actually start carrying video commercials and higher end commercials in the video space.
Does Bitcoins and Gravy have ads?
Did you ask if we have ads?
Yeah, do you have ads?
No, not yet, Paul.
And by the way, we do have ads and we do contests and campaigns, but I personally think that if a news site has to sell their content as an ad, then frankly the people who are running it should be more intelligent and more creative. I think that's deliberately taking advantage of people.
You got to have integrity, and I think if you don't have readers and you don't have listeners, you don't have a show and you don't have a news site. And if you don't have integrity, you're going to lose those listeners, you're going to lose those readers. If I might expound a little bit on what Ernie was talking about with the satellite, it kind of ties into the pirate radio aspect too. I program LRN.FM for two reasons. One, kind of what Tony was talking about before, I want people to come to that place who care about freedom so they can connect with other shows they never heard of before. I know my show isn't right for everybody, but we've got like 36 shows on there. Somebody's going to find something they like. But the second reason is because I wanted it to be a plug-and-play solution for pirate radio operators in North and Central America and around the world as well. Because putting a pirate radio station on the air is a little bit risky. There's some, FCC might raid your house. But on the other hand, it's tough to come up with the programming. So basically, LRN is sort of a plug-and-play solution for that. And the satellite channel is a way to deliver that content to places in the world that don't actually have internet. It's easy for us to take for granted the internet. We all have probably a smartphone on us, and then at home maybe one or two other internet connections. But there's still 4 billion people in the world who don't have internet. And I think we would all like Bitcoin to reach those people at some point. We know about M-Pesa. And I'm sure many of us have heard about this in Kenya, which allows people with just a plain old dumb phone to send and receive Bitcoin. So they don't have to have a smartphone, they don't have to have the internet, but they still need to find out about Bitcoin. And so LRN.FM runs all day long, 30-second ads voiced by Ernie, voiced by myself, voiced by about 10 different hosts on LRN. So you get different voices, and different voices are going to capture different people's attention, all pitching Bitcoin to the listener. Like that Bitcoin is essentially the sponsor of the satellite channel, which we did have one over Africa. It got pulled off the air. My satellite provider that I pay hundreds of dollars a month to get North and Central America coverage, they came to me in 2012 and they said, hey, we've got this new satellite over Africa. We'd like to put you on for 2 months. And I said, great, let's do it, because I know this is a place, the part of the world which has the least internet coverage. And so they put us on, and they didn't take us off for almost 3 years. They finally pulled the plug back in February, so we've started doing a fundraiser.
Yeah, when it started getting popular, they're going, hey, you'll pay for it now, won't you?
And that's fine. I mean, I knew the free ride wasn't going to last forever, and so now we're doing a fundraiser. You can go to africa.lrn.fm and chip in whatever you want, and we'll take Bitcoin, obviously. And we're going to get it back on in Africa, and I think it's just so important because we're reaching millions of people who otherwise would never be able to find the Bitcoin message and also the message of freedom as well. So it's really important from that aspect.
But the Bitcoin message of these commercials that he's talking about is the liberty aspects of Bitcoin.
Well, if you're not doing the regulation aspects of Bitcoin, because
no, we're not promoting that part.
Well, yeah. But, whatever message somebody needs to get across. There's some of us that cover a lot of things. Go ahead.
We're sponsored by Monsanto and Mount Gox. Please enjoy your cornflakes and your corn syrups.
our supporters, a lot of we do by subscription and contributors and monthly and so, but that takes decades to build up, the supporters for what we do. So paying it forward, a lot of the banner ads that you see, any of you that listen to my show on a regular basis, if there's something that I like, some product, some website, I'm going, send me a banner out on the air. I'll give you a month free. Here's the thing, because it helps us with our credibility, the kinds of people and the products and the programs that we're supporting, like Texas Bitcoin Conference. A lot of things that we constantly talking about is to make us look good. If we associate with the right things and maintain our credibility, in the future, the currency of media is going to be credibility. It's just because they got a big signal of whatever, who gives a crap what Brian Williams said before he got outed as a liar anyway? So this integrity that we bring in the Liberty community, it's going to be of enormous value when the people need it the most.
How many of people here trust the media? How many people trust these guys? A few.
Thank you. Danny said too many, yeah.
Do you think that media has a trust problem? Do you guys think media has a trust problem? Yeah, okay. Do you think there's any solution to it? Really? What's the solution? Change the business model. There's a mic. They're way over there. Why don't you...
Don't make me stand up, man.
Okay, guys, y'all need to listen to this because we have answers.
All right, so the media, you asked the problem was trust in media.
A little closer to the mic, if you would, please.
Sure. And the solution to the problem, or a solution to the problem, is for them to change their business model. Because the media's business model is to take a third party and interrupt their audience and present that third party's message to them. And so the real customer for the media companies are the advertisers that provide them with money, not their listener base. And so if you have micropayments and a subscription model and other ways of having a business model for where the media gets subsidized or the media gets paid for by the listeners, then they will change their behavior and they will stop pitching crap and customize their offering towards their subscribers because they're going to want those people to be advocates, they're going to want them to be loyal. So I don't think it's a values problem. I think it's a systemic business problem, and until that changes, and things like Bitcoin and ChangeTip and everything are changing that, but I think that's what is a really big problem in the space.
So I love the idea of turning media from wholesale to retail, and that's essentially what you're talking about here. So yeah, there's a third party in there. And why is the third party there? Well, because they want the audience that we've developed and put together. And that much is true, and I can't disagree with it. The difficulty is that, ask the New York Times and ask any other media outlet what it's like to get somebody to pay for journalism. The world's going to change here in the relatively near future, and I don't know how journalists are going to make their money. I imagine that we'll continue to have journalists, but how are they going to continue to get funding? I don't know the answer. We have an AMP program, what we call the AMP program. It's a club where people can join up, and we tell them about all the great reasons why they should. We're spreading the ideas of liberty. We're spreading the ideas of Bitcoin. If you want those things to go farther and wider, like, say, Africa, please, help us to do that. You're not paying for paychecks as much as you're just paying for the ideas of liberty and the Bitcoin to get exposed further. And the percentage of our audience is somewhere well beneath 1% of our audience is willing to join that club voluntarily. And so if we forced people into the content, what we'd probably be doing is diminishing by a great deal our exposure, and thus the one thing that we have to sell, in the sense of ears. The reason that people give us the money is because we're good at getting ears and eyes, depending on the site. So I agree that we have the problem. I don't know that the solution is a subscription model, and I'd love to hear another idea.
And by the way, folks, if it feels like we're just stretching, you're absolutely right, okay? Which means that if anybody here is tired of listening to us, you go to the mic and you can have the floor, and on any topic you like. It's now open topic Bitcoin conference time, okay? That
By the way,
there are dozens of hackers there trying to decide who is the greatest hacker, and they're about to be on stage, okay?
By the way,
we'll let you, go ahead, say.
Reddit is a news site. I don't know if you guys know that. Reddit is a news site, and that's what I mean by an information algorithm. That's the trust problem, is because when you have one subjective version, like it's the idea of truth more than anything, right? And what is truth but your own subjective perception on a certain instance, on reality, based on your experiences in life, if you're writing something from your own subjective viewpoint. If you're capturing a piece of footage or an image and that's not altered, then we can say that that objectively is someone who is capturing truth. But something like Reddit is one person makes a statement and then the community in and of itself contributes, and everyone's allowed to have their own subjective opinion based on the comments and the contributions to the conversation. Media is a dialogue, and for so long that dialogue has just been between reporter or face on a news show and then this giant audience of people. And what's fundamentally changed, so is Twitter. Twitter is a news site. What's fundamentally changed about the idea of media is the audience's ability to participate in the conversation. That's what actually solves the trust problem.
Okay, so we have now solved the trust problem. It is now open mic. No, don't sit down. Go to the mic. Come on.
I was going to say, that's kind of what I was going to say. There's no solution to having media that's trusted, because the people who are reporting on the media, they're going to have their own biases, they're going to have their own limited amount of information they're reporting on. And if you do something like where people pay to contribute to have the media, you're just going to have what's going on with Reddit, where people with similar ideas will flock and support their own similar, little separate sections of the media. So really the only solution is to teach the people to be skeptical and research whatever they read online and kind of do their own thing. So it's not really a media fault. And the free market, let them do whatever they can for money too, but the solution is really from people who are listening to it.
Very, very good. Sit down. We're going to run through it. No, not all of you. You can't, you got in line. You have to say something. Couple sentences, come on, quick.
Well, you questioned maybe a subscription model, but isn't that what he was mentioning by micropayments is I'd pay a cent to read a blog post?
So if we do Bitcoin and micropayments, that's, no, you don't sit down. Come on. Next guy. We're going to get your ideas out here.
I just had an open question to the panel about Blythe Masters joining the Bitcoin space, and especially in regards to Ethereum and the ability to possibly...
Sorry, can you just speak into the mic a little bit more?
Blythe Masters, ex-JP Morgan alumni, recently joined a Bitcoin company. And actually with Ethereum, do you see any possibility of using smart contracts and derivatives with Bitcoin?
I greatly appreciate that question, but that's too long. Quick. John, quick.
I just have a quick announcement.
All right.
Unofficial after party at Brave New Books, 1904 Guadalupe Street. Come see me if you want the address.
Okay,
it's on a flyer.
that's good.
7 to 10.
7 to 10, Brave New Books. It's on Guadalupe, underneath the Chase Bank. This is undermining the banking. Go ahead.
Literally undermining it?
Say again?
Are we literally undermining the bank?
Literally undermining the bank. Go ahead. Quick. Your statement.
One point that I didn't know if you guys got to touch on earlier is journalism used to be this thought out, academic truth, but modern media is more of an entertainment outlet than anything.
Excellent
point. And if we start
Thank
to
you.
divide it, maybe we can find a solution.
2 words. Quickly. You think about it. Come on, quick.
Free Talk Live.
All right.
Bitcoins and gravy.
Bitcoins and gravy.
Huge difference between information and entertainment.
All right. Quick.
LRN.FM.
And once you talk, get off the stage. Come on. No. Some couple words. You got to say a couple words. Whatever you want.
You want me to promote something?
Yes.
No, I don't want to promote anything.
Okay.
TheCryptoShow.com. Listen live.
All right.
Freedom's the answer. What's the question?
Very good. Guys, thank you for your patience. Thank you very much.